U.S. Air Force stealth fighter jets intercepted two Russian attack jets in Syria, an area off-limits to Russian jets based on a long-standing mutual agreement, a U.S. defense official told Fox News last Thursday. During the incident, both American F-22 jets fired flares after cutting across the front of the Russian jets, a tactic known as headbutting, meant to send a strong warning to an opposing warplane. Almost resulted in collision, the latest in what the U.S. military says are becoming a steady stream of unprofessional and dangerous aerial incidents. But what makes this new report almost bizarre is the Kremlin's version of the story is nearly identical to one from weeks earlier that American officials say never occurred, raising the question of whether some portion of these reports may be deliberate misinformation. U.S. military officials raised concerns about the incident through a hotline established in the past 2 years between American and Russian air forces. In recent months, Russian jets have increasingly flown in restricted areas in eastern Syria, violating long-established agreements with the U.S.-led coalition. The Pentagon spokesman said it has become increasingly tough to determine whether Russian pilots' actions are deliberate or honest mistakes. The coalition's greatest concern is that we could shoot down a Russian aircraft because its actions are seen as a threat to our air or ground forces, Payne told Fox News. The Russian Air Force has been supporting the Syrian government since sending dozens of fighter and attack aircraft to an air base near the Mediterranean Sea in September 2015. In June, a U.S. Navy F-18 Super Hornet shot down a Syrian fighter jet, the first time in 18 years the U.S. military has downed an enemy aircraft in air-to-air combat. The basic facts of the new intercept, as much as both sides agree on them, are that a U.S. Air Force F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jammed itself in front of a pair of Russian Air Force Su-25 Frogfoots near the Syrian city of Al-Mayadin. The American jet, cutting across the path of the Russian aircraft, dropped decoy flares and possibly chaff in an attempt to get the Russians to change course, a tactic commonly known as headbutting, according to Fox News. Similar tactics, also referred to as thumping, have been used in the past by American fighters during similar incidents over Syria. Beyond that, the United States and Russia have significantly different accounts of what happened and where. The Pentagon says the Russian jets crossed over to the eastern side of the Euphrates River in Syria and either could not or would not respond to radio calls on an emergency channel to leave the area. At present, the United States and Russia officially acknowledge the waterway as a deconfliction boundary between their respective activities in the country. They have agreed that the Russians will stay to the west of the river, while the U.S. military and its partners will stay on the eastern side. Payne told multiple outlets that the encounter lasted approximately 40 minutes and that at one point, one of the Frogfoots maneuvered dangerously close to the Raptor, almost causing a collision. He added that Russian aircraft violate the deconfliction line between 6 and 8 times a day on average, amounting to approximately 10% of their total sorties in Syria. Underscoring the issue, a Russian Su-35S flanker E-fighter jet reportedly crossed the boundary during the other intercept, while a second F-22 shadowed that aircraft's movement. The Russians deny this version of events. In its own statement, the Russian Ministry of Defense said that the Frogfoots had been escorting a humanitarian convoy on the western side of the Euphrates. Kremlin says it was actually the F-22 that crossed the deconfliction line to harass its jets. A Russian Su-35 fighter jet, performing an air cover mission at an altitude of 10,000 meters, swiftly approached the F-22 from the rear, their statement added. The pilot reportedly succeeded in forcing the American aircraft to leave the area.